Hey followers, TN Newton here. Sorry it's been a little while since I've been able to post an update for PinesQuest 2D, so this time I thought instead of a boring old text post update, I'd make a video update. Alright, so what I've been working on in the game lately is the fourth dungeon, which actually has two areas. The first half is the abandoned mines featured in the episode Land Before Swine, and the second half is the author's bunker. But some feedback I've been getting from a lot of players is that they'd like to see more interactivity with the environment. The reason why there isn't a whole lot of interactivity with the environment right now is actually because of how I make the maps. What I use to make maps for PinesQuest 2D is actually something called parallax mapping. And if you've never worked in RPG Maker, you probably don't know what that is. What that means is I make the maps outside of RPG Maker, I actually make them in Photoshop instead. And then when I'm done making them in Photoshop, I import them into RPG Maker and basically tell it, okay, here's where the player can walk and here's where they can't. And then I also add things like mystery bags, cutscenes, transitions between maps, other characters if necessary, and any objects that can be interacted with. Anything that can be interacted with on the map is called an event and is assigned to a specific tile. Like you can see this mystery bag here, or rather the top half of it, since that's all that fits on the tile. The whole graphic does show up in game though. That's an event, and events, if they're an object or character, have to have their own separate graphic that's not already stuck to the map. And making a graphic that's not already stuck to the map is actually a little bit hard to do just because of the size of the assets that I'm working with. The standard size for RPG Maker VXS assets is a lot smaller than the PinesQuest 2D assets, so it takes a little bit of trial and error before RPG Maker will correctly accept the PinesQuest 2D assets as individual graphics. So what I've decided to do for right now, this might be temporary, it might not be. It's going to depend on if RPG Maker will accept the assets and work on the map as intended. We're going to have to see. But for now, I've made it so when the player walks up to an object that can be interacted with, they'll automatically interact with it. This might be annoying to some people, since instead of walking up to something and hitting the interaction key, the interaction will just be automatic. But like I said, I'll see if I can eventually fix that. So for example, I've made it so when the player walks up to this axe in the tree stump, on the third map of the game, as you can see right here, this is the third map of the game, they'll automatically interact with it. So Mabel will try to pull the axe out of the stump. She won't be able to. Dipper won't even try because he figures if Mabel can't do it, there's no way that he can. So they decide they need to come back here later with someone stronger and more axe proficient. So later, if you come back with Wendy in your party, once you have Wendy in your party, she joins your party at the start of the third dungeon. She will try to pull the axe out. She won't be able to pull it out either, but instead her attack power will permanently increase by 5. That's about it there. So I'd like to give you a look at some of the tiles and objects for the abandoned mines half of dungeon 4. Let me just switch over to those. These are some of the objects. They aren't totally consistent with the other graphics right now. What I think I need to do is I need to make the lines thicker so they're more so they look more consistent with the rest of the graphics basically. Is that showing up? Yes it is. Alright. So yeah, the lines are a little thin. They don't totally match, so I think if I thicken up the lines, that will help. So those are some objects for the mines. Here are some of the tiles, or there we go. So there is some of the tiles for mines. Yeah. And so yeah, that's everything for the mines so far. But here is also some objects for a much later dungeon in the game, which is Hoo Ha Owl's Pizza Machonic Jamboree from the episode Susan the Real Girl. And these were made by Tabitha Abadir, who's been helping me a bit with some of the dungeon objects in other pixel art. So, big, huge thanks to her for the help because I really need it. There's still a lot more that needs to be done for this game, mostly just pixel art and dungeon tile sets, objects, those types of assets. Um, but there's still 8 more dungeons that need to be finished. So yeah, hopefully I will be done with the first half of Dungeon 4 really soon. There's the beginning of some wall and floor tiles for Hoo Ha Owls. Yeah, that's about it there. And then I also have I updated the designs for I updated the designs and the sprites for 2 of the secret boss characters. You actually fight both of them as a one secret boss fight. Uh, their names are Lucerna and Lichness. And I can't tell you too much about them, obviously, because it's spoilers. So all I can really say for right now is that they're twins, like Dipper and Mabel, except triangle people. And their home dimension is called Uxuhylia, and they work for somebody named Master Black. That's all I can tell you about them right now. Everything else you'll just have to find out by encountering them in the full game. Alright, so I think that's it for this update video. Thank you so much for tuning in and following the development of PinesQuest 2D. I hope you all had a happy Halloween, and as always, stay weird, fallers.